Okay, so now you know everything I know about surface grinding. That was just a little opener there. And welcome to this week's week update. I'm Stan. I was going to go over our work progress for the week. Made a few days progress over there at the job on our conveyor line. And I shot a little bit of video. We were kind of busy over there, and I was bouncing back and forth between job sites, and the guys were pretty busy. But they've got a substantial amount of conveyor up, and they got the booths in, and they actually wired them, and they're all the booths are all running now. But let me take you to that. And actually, there's I shot a little bit of video of my placard collection up on my trailer too. So here, stay tuned for that. I was going to show you some of my collection of placards. Some of these, I don't know whether you're going to be able to see them. This is an embossed brass plate from the DeVilbiss company. DeVilbiss was kind of interesting. Mr. DeVilbiss, during the Civil War, invented the air atomizer for spraying ladies' perfume and things like that during the Civil War era. So DeVilbiss has been around for a long time, and the paint finishing industry that evolved into paint spray guns. But the date code on this serial number, you can get in there to see it, starts with a 47. This is a war era placard, and this came off of a water wash spray booth for the U.S. Navy. This was on a decommissioned aircraft carrier, and we pulled the spray booth out about 2 or 3 years ago. I do not remember the call letters for that one, but that actually is my oldest placard, and it's, like I say, it's a nice brass embossed booth placard. There's a little bit newer one there. That's back when they used to make really nice placards. That thing's been stamped, raised letters. There's a silk screened one from Banks, our old friends at Banks. Nowadays they're just doing stickers, just vinyl. There's Colmet, Garmat, my buddies over at Butler Compressor. There's another DV. This is a modern DeVilbiss. This is like a foil type sticker. Here's another DV unit. This is chrome plated. It's like a casting. This is kind of a nice, got the DV logo on it. That's another DeVilbiss. There's a little more modern Banks. Still raised letters, stamped aluminum. JBI, not in business anymore. Spray Systems, still around. Nice. You know, this is all raised, stamped aluminum. Old Spray King, not in business anymore. I know the owner. He retired and he lives down in Mexico, living on his boat. West Coast, not in business anymore, but nice placard. There's an older DV. This is 50s. That's again the raised letters. There's a silkscreen Banks. Blowtherm out of Italy. Dry Quick. Greensburg, Indiana. They make a hell of an oven. Local manufacturers here in LA. There's a Bleecker Brothers. That's just silkscreen sheet metal, flat ovens and spray booths. There's an older Bleecker, still silk screened, still flat, but kind of a nice one. I like this one. Spray Tech, just powder coated and silk screened on a piece of sheet metal. AFC, just vinyl. Spray Bake out of Canada. This is a textured silk screened unit. So that's my collection of spray booth placards, and I just got them on the door of the work trailer. But I thought you guys might like to see that. And we're back here working on this line. I'm going to show you around the drawing here real quick to kind of remind you what we're doing here. Spray booth, conveyor track, oven, load and unload, drive, flash time, painting. But I'll show you our progress. This is a dual track pickup drop-off type conveyor. You know where the drive pulls away. Whoops. You know where the drive pulls away from the product track. It goes into a manual section. Just like on this section, you see the drive where it pulls away from this from the product line. That's where it goes into manual, and when the painter takes it and sends it out the door, they can pick it back up and get it out of here. So that's our progress from 3 days. Alright. And they've got the spray booth in, bolted to the floor, duct run through the roof, fan mounted, and conveyors progressing. So you can get an idea what all those support columns were for. I still don't have an oven yet. Everything's in that crate still. After it hooks around that corner, that oven goes right where it's sitting there. And we're back. And I was going to show you next, we have on our projects up on the board was a gun bluing video, and that's what we're going to work on this week. I've got a little bit of gun bluing to do, and I was going to show you a little bit of that. What I have as just an example tonight, I have these squares, ground, finished, done, ready to gun blue. So these guys are ready to go. You can see they've been surface ground pretty much on all surfaces. The only place that doesn't get ground, and it's really inaccessible, are these those reliefs. See that relief down that link there? Those reliefs don't get ground, but the edges of the fences do. But the only thing that doesn't get ground is down there, so that you're left with black hardening scale down in there. So those are the only edges that get, and I've got a little skinny wheel, I'll show you that. I've got a little skinny wheel for the Dremel that actually gets down there, and you just make a single pass and it just scrubs that scale right out of there. But every other surface of these things has seen the wheel of a grinder. But right now they're just hardened 01 tool steel, shiny and nice. We're going for kind of a black matte finish on those. So those are the culprits for tonight's video. I'm only going to do one pair of squares start to finish. I usually do 4 or 5 sets in a run when I got this stuff out. I'm going to talk about the material I use, and I get it in these 32-ounce bottles. And I put the name of the company up here on the board. Shooter's Solutions is the material I use. This is their full strength stuff, and I handle it very carefully because at the bottom you can see a sediment, and that's the powdered metal from the last batch that settled down in the acid and corroded. And I don't want to suspend that or agitate it and get it back up into the mix. And I'm going to show you how I filter that out. This is full strength, and this here is a 50-50 mix. It gets very little powdered metal. This is very weak, and I've got two different finishes that I play with. And the big challenge with gun bluing is getting repeatable results. You might go out there and gun blue something, and it just turns out fantastic. And you say, all right, man, I know what I'm doing. And then you do it again 2 weeks later and completely different results. And you're just so sure you did everything the same. But believe me, you changed something. Something changed. Temperature, time, the metal base that you're working with. Anyways, the sediment is an evil that happens. The powdered metal from the last batch gets in there, even though you filter it, it just it gets in there. Now, what I use to filter it is very simple. This is a little Melita coffee filter that takes the little paper cones, drop them in, pour it through. This fits right on top of my plastics. This is what I soak in. This little disposable cup. This just drops on top, and pour your solution in for your soaking, but filter on the way in and then filter on the way out when you're pouring it back in the bottle for storage. So, and that sediment just comes, I don't know how it gets through, but that powdered metal gets in there and it creates that sludge in the bottom. But you need to get it out of there because it will adhere to your parts and give you a spotty results. You need to have your solution very clean. All right, back to Shooter Solution. You can Google them, and I'm going to give you a mixed review on them. Their chemicals are great. Their service is good. They'll get them to you right away. The stuff is pretty strong. If you order the concentrate, he's going to get you, some material that's going to last you about a year or a year and a half before it starts getting weak, and you have to discard it. Don't expect much out of the instructions. The instructions read like they were interpreted from Chinese to English, and then English to Swahili, and then Swahili to Zimbabwe, and then back to English. It's horrible to read the instructions. It's just exhausting to read them. So don't even bother. Maybe you go through and catch the cliff notes, but read through them just for fun. But the instructions are horrible with this material, and it's a big book he gives you. He just writes a novel with the thing. So I finally called up there, fully expecting an Oriental gentleman or some foreigner to answer, and he was a very nice man, and we talked for a long time, probably about an hour and 15 minutes. We stayed on the phone and talked. Turns out he's a chemical engineer, and he is a conveyor belt of information, and it just keeps coming. And now I get it. When that information starts coming out of him, there's no order to it. It's coming at you whether you can soak it up or not. So I get it now. But don't expect much from the instructions. And if you get a chance, call up there. Call up Shooter Solution. He's up in, I think, Washington State, maybe Oregon, whatever. He's up in the Pacific Northwest there. And talk to him up there. And he'll help you out with your gun bluing. But I'm going to go over some of the things that I do. These right here are not, I'm to a point now where I can still touch these with my bare hands. What they are, and they've been deburred, the edges have been knocked off. I'm done grinding. The only thing left to do now is begin the polish process. And I'm going to glove up for that. First thing we start with is a solvent wash. Just acetone and throwaway paintbrush. Just give them a good washing with solvent. Then the gloves go on. Keep your gloves on the whole time. Now, if you get a fingerprint on that thing after you polished it, and it goes in the gun blue, you're going to have a gun blue fingerprint that will be there forever. I mean, it's just total CSI stuff. Next thing up is Scotch-Brite. I start off with the Roloc disc, the little 3-inch wheels, and I use two. I use a blue and a gray. That is a fine and an extra fine. So start off with the blue and just give them a general polish, then come back with the gray and give them a final polish. And then I did already mention filtering. You do need to filter your material, prepare your solution, have it out. I use these little metal rods, and I just I'll hook two squares on here like this in pairs, and just soak them in the solution. That's just welding wire, and it's easily bent, and you can kind of tailor it to your cup to get it to go down in there and soak in there. So get a good place to hang them. Don't just throw them in the soup and let them land in the bottom. If they're laying against each other or they're laying against the side, you're going to get a mark. So filter it very well. Your soak time is about 20 minutes for each one. When you do pull these out, I'm going to show you some results. As I gun glue these, but when the first time you pull these out, they're going to soak for 20 minutes. You're going to pull them out, and they're going to be very black, and but you'll be able to wipe it right off. It won't be adhered, and you're going to go to the sink under very hot tap water, and just take. You can use your same paintbrush you used for the solvent, and just take your paintbrush and go over it under hot tap water, and wipe off all the powdered metal. And what you're trying to do is re-expose the metal and cause another reaction. And get it back in the soup again. After you've warmed up the part, you've cleared it of powdered metal, get it back in the soup, get the second reaction for 20 minutes. After it comes out of the soup the second time, you don't want to disturb the powdered metal. It's been soaking for 40 minutes now in mineral acid. So you're going to take it straight from the acid and put it in another 1 quart cup with just hot tap water, and very gently pull it out and drop it in the tap water and just let it sit. Don't scrub it. Don't do anything to it to wipe off that powdered metal. What we're trying to do is get that powdered metal to adhere, and it will. And the longer you let it sit, the better it will adhere. And then let them soak in that hot tap water for about half an hour or so. Pull them and then dewater them. And when I say dewater, just hang them and let them evaporate by themselves. As soon as the oxygen hits them, they're going to start to rust hard. So watch them carefully. As soon as the water's off of them enough, hose them down with WD-40. You need to seal them up and deprive your part of oxygen. Spray them down with WD-40 and keep the oxygen off of them. Let them sit as long as you can. If you can let them sit for 24 hours, great. 48 hours, better. But keep them wet with oil and don't disturb the blackened finish. After you're done there, you can give them a quick solvent wash and clean the oil off of them and re-oil them again for shipping or whatever you're going to do with them. But let's talk about reactive metals and metals that are incapable of reacting. This stuff was only going to work on things that can rust. So cast iron, no problem. Steel, fine. The easier it rusts, the easier it'll gun blue. Also, if the metal has already reacted to something, if there's already a small amount of surface corrosion on there, or something going on in the metal there, and you don't break into it with your polishing process, it's not going to react to the gun blue. Or if you polish a portion of it, and wherever you stop, the gun blue will the acid will attack the metal and cause a reaction. But wherever you stopped, it's going to just leave a clean break line. So not easy to touch up. But so you got to break into it. The last step you do, and that's what all the polishing process is with the Scotch-Brite wheels and things like that. And what I do with squares is we've got some precision surfaces there. So my last process is on the surface plate, 600 grit wet and dry, a little bit of water, and I just give it a final lap on each flat edge of the square. just to break into the surface and just to flatten it out. And then the webs of them here, I polish those with the wheel. And then the last step is by hand, hot tap water, gray Scotch-Brite as a final wash. And from there they go, and you want to, after you've broken into the metal, you probably got about 2 hours before the metal starts to react to the oxygen. You need to get it in the gun blue as quickly as you can. All right, so let's go shoot some video of that. I don't know what all you're gonna watch, but I think I've given you enough information. We've covered the 2 different types. Oh, yeah, I've given you my process for my deep charcoal black look with the double dip and the wipe down in between and wiping the powdered metal off. And you can do that 2-3 times. Your first and hardest reaction is your first one. Wiping the powdered metal off, put it back in again, a little bit less of a reaction. Third time, a little bit happens, not so much, but you're gonna get less and less of a reaction every time. Now that's gonna leave you with a very black, very charcoal looking finish. And that's with the full strength. This Mamaluca here. That's the really dark stuff. And what's funny, this stuff, when it comes to you, it looks like Windex. And then I've only used this stuff twice. And look what it does. It's just this black stuff. Anyways, and then out of that concentrate, I made this up, and this is a 50-50 mix. So this is half water and half acid. And it's still very blue. You can see the color of that. And what I do with that, this is a little different process, and it's a long soak. It's a long single soak. And this is going to give you kind of a prismatic look. Some of you have taken delivery on some of the 2-inch squares recently. And I did a whole batch of the prismatic. And this is going to bring out the colors of your metal. It's not going to be just a flat charcoal black. This is going to be a very, brings out some reds and some blues and some orange and some yellows of the steel. And when you get them all oiled up and get them in good light and get a nice look at them, you can see the colors of the blue. And it's very random. You never know, no 2 are going to be the same. And it's not as predictable as the black. But the 50-50 is about a 4-hour soak. And you get a very, very slow reaction. And you want your squares very hot, almost hot enough where you can't hold them. So I use extremely hot tap water and bring the temperature of the squares or your base metal up. And all the same process, all the polishing, all the gloves, clean, 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 and get them in that 50-50 mix and just let them soak for 4 or 5 hours, and check them every hour or so and see the results you're getting. But you'll see the colors within the first couple of hours. So it's a little bit more time consuming, but it's an interesting finish. So those are the 2 finishes that I've worked on and have had repeatable results. And what we're doing today is just a straight black. The prismatic is interesting. And like I say, a few people out there that have taken delivery on the 2-inch squares can see, and maybe they could leave some comments on what it looks like to them, coloring wise. But both of them have proven to be very durable. Over time, I've got some pieces that I've done that I've had for quite some time, and the gun bluing's held up very well. And here's my charcoal finish. I was going to show you this. This is a tool I made for my shaper. And that's what holds a tool bit right in that end. That holds a 1/4-inch tool bit there. But I was just showing you for the finish of it. And that's hardened tool steel there. But the way that's cut there, see, it holds a tool at a 3-degree angle. See that angle cut down the center there? And that just pins in a tool bit right there. And I have other pieces for it somewhere. There. See, that'll hold a larger tool bit. I think that's a 1/2 inch. That one's a 1/4. I think I got a 3/8 over here. 3/8 tool bit at that angle. But anyways, that's the gun bluing there, and this has been gun blued for, gosh, a long time. This has been gun blued for probably a couple of years, and it's been very durable. No signs of rust or anything. I keep everything oiled anyways when I go to pack it away. So there's that. And then, you know, just recently I did this. So my results are fairly repeatable. This is that tool post adapter I made. So the results from here to here, that's 2 years difference there. Here's a work stop I made. The clamp and the rod both is a work stop I made. And that gets banged around in the mill every day. But it, I mean, you can see some chew marks on the side of it. I just turned it around. I saw a big old booger out of the side. But, so, you know, it is a durable finish, and it keeps you from having rusty, crappy stuff bouncing around the shop. And if you got the time, it's nice. You know, if you're going to make some tools, don't gun blue them as you go. Save them up and have a gun blue day. You know, just make all your parts over the period of 3 or 4 weeks, and you know, just round them up and degrease them and polish them up and start soaking. You've all seen blue hand video. Welcome to black hand video. Non-powdered, non-lanolin, dry. I'm just getting my solution going here. And I'm pouring it very gently. I'm trying to leave that sediment on the bottom. I don't know that you can see that down there or not. There's quite a bit of sediment down there. And I've stirred some of it up, but the filter's catching it on the way in. I keep this over here in your camera, in your field of vision. These are your garden variety Melita coffee filters. I warned you this was going to be a boring video. This is going to be a lot like watching paint dry. Rolock blue discs. That's what we're going to be using. Dremel with a polishing bit. It's a little flapper wheel, very thin. It fits on those quick mandrels on the Dremel, and they're good for going down in those grooves on these squares. They're just a light abrasive, just kind of more of a polish than they are a sanding. So anyways, I'm going to do that real quick. Before. Okay, we're done with the Dremel. Thank God, because that was a noisy little thing. Small die grinder. Make sure you do not oil it. Everyone tells you to oil them. Make sure you do not oil it. That's a brown wheel on there. That's pretty heavy. I use that to break the corners of the squares. But with this, we're gonna that's the blue wheel. We're just gonna give them a light polish. I don't know how the audio is gonna turn out here, but it might just deafen you. I don't know. Bad enough you got to hear my die grinder, now you got to hear my air compressor too. Okay, second side. Okay, so all we're polishing is non-precision surfaces, just the tops of these webs and the top of this fence, top of this web and the top of this fence. That's all I'm touching right now. I'm going to gently lap all the measuring surfaces, and then the final is in the hot water. And again, we're looking for clean, reactive metal. Okay, next up is going to be over at the sink with hot tap water. And just a gray pad. We're going to polish these things up with a gray pad, and then I'll do a quick lap on the surface plate, and then they're ready to go in the soup, and our soup is ready. Be right back. Again, I'm back, and this is just hot tap water that undergone a solvent rinse and a gray Scotch-Brite hand polish. And now we're going to do the final on our solvent. This can get discarded. That's out of here. That'll go in the sink for rinse. Our paint sticks can go to the side. And we need to get a hanger set up. That's probably going to be too deep. Let's see what I can do here. It might hang about right there. Okay, so these are soaking in hot tap water. And see the shine there? That's just pretty highly polished metal. Steel. And here we go. Down in the sauce. And And we're actually going to give that, I'll give that about a 60 count and pull it out and let you look at it real quick to see what it looks like. But it reacts very quickly, but that's not a permanent reaction. But you'll be able to see the reaction here in just a minute or so. Well, that's not a timer, but I guess we could pull them in and take a look at them real quick. All right, take a look at those. See how fast that reacted? That was in real time right there. Now that's not a very good permanent reaction, but you can see how fast that acid reacts to the clean steel. All right, they're going back in, and they're going to sit in here for 20 minutes. Okay, so we're waiting, and I'm flipping through Maxim, and I'm into the joke section, so I'm just killing time. My girlfriend and I have always had these massive arguments, followed by incredible makeup sex. That's what I love about her. She won't go down without a fight. Next up, I took my 95-year-old dad to the mall the other day to buy some new shoes. We decided to grab a bite at the food court. I noticed he was watching a teenage boy sitting next to him. The teenager had spiked hair in all different colors, green, red, orange, and blue. My dad kept staring at him. The teenager got annoyed and asked, "What's the matter, old man? Never done anything wild in your life?" Without missing a beat, my dad replied, "Got drunk once and f***ed a peacock. I was just wondering if you were my son." And here we are 20 minutes later, and you can see our gun blue coming out here. I'm just going to tilt one up with this brush, let you see what you're getting. Now I'm going to take these over to the sink and rinse them in hot water and just gently brush the surface of them. And what's on the surface is powdered metal. It's just what's coming off the part. But any streaks or anything that are in it, I'm starting to get a couple spots on this side. I'm going to be wiping those away and getting a more uniform finish. So I'm going to take them over to the sink and rinse them in hot tap water with a brush and just kind of brush off the metal gently. And then they're going to come back in for another 20-minute soak. Okay, and I'm back over here. And you can see they've lightened up quite a bit. They're not as dark as they were, but I brushed all the powdered metal off. So I'm going in, I'm dipping again to try to get a second reaction. I'm only going to do two. The third reaction is usually very, very weak. So I don't even mess with the third anymore. I should tell you that if you pull them out the first time and maybe you get a fingerprint, or maybe you didn't clean something right, or maybe you got some oil in there, or something's going on and you're getting a bad finish, get them over in the hot water and get Scotch-Brite on them again, and it's fixable. So you can actually polish them down in the hot water, clean them up, maybe another little bit of solvent on there, but to get the oil off, but kind of touch them up with your Scotch-Brite. Try to do some hand blending. You know, if you want to try to blend it, if you've got just one bad spot and want to try to blend it with the rest of them, you can kind of blend it with the Scotch-Brite, clean it really good, brush it down in the hot water, get it back in the soup, and you can fix any bad spots you have on it. So it is, you can work it a little bit on its way through. All right. See you in 20 minutes. Here I'm straining out a little bit of the powdered metal out of the residuals out of the bottom of the bottle while I'm waiting. And you see all that white chalky crap down there? That's old powdered metal that has reacted in the bottle. So I try to keep my solution very clean, which is difficult to do because that powdered metal will make marks. Here you can see a lot of the junk down in the bottle. So I'm going to go rinse this bottle out, and what I'm doing is I'm preparing for this material to go back in there and try to get it clean. What's down in there is, see, that's pretty clean down there. So yeah, these little Melita coffee filters are pretty good for removing that material, but you can see the amount of white chalky junk that gets down there in the bottom. All right, still waiting on the main batch. So my material has been filtered, and it's getting filtered again, going back in the bottle. I've cleaned out the bottle, washed all the sediment out and all the powdered metal, and preparing to put this batch back in here. I'm coming up on my second 20 minutes, and these things are almost done. And what we're doing with this second rinse here is we're just going to take them undisturbed. We're not going to brush them or anything like that. We're going to take them directly into hot tap water. There's some oils and things floating up to the surface. I can see here now. The acid will wash away a small amount of oil, and your saving grace is the oil rises to the surface of the material, so it doesn't cling to the part. But as you pull them out, you can the oil can adhere to the part as you pull it up. The meniscus of the water will pull it right to the part, and then the part's got little spots of oil on it. So if you just take them and dip them up and down kind of rapidly, you get that oil washed away. You can see it all drip off. I can see oil spots coming down here and dripping away. And then you just take this into a clean bucket, hot tap water, soak it for about 15 minutes or a half an hour. Okay, and we're back, and we're done soaking. I've got hot tap water here. So we're going to just pull it out of this soup, and I'm going to try to get it without any oil on it. I'm just going to dunk them up and down a couple of times just to get the oil to wash away that's floated to the surface. I never know where that oil comes from, but man, you think you got them clean, but the oil just floats right to the surface of this material. What's interesting, the Melita coffee filters will actually pull the oil out as they're filtering. It'll kind of stay in the cup. I think the paper filters absorb the oil. Okay, we're just going into hot tap water here, and they're going to sit in here for about a half an hour or so. Okay, well, this is on the home stretch. I don't think there's anything else that you guys need to see. All that's going to happen is we're going to take them out of the water, and we're going to go into and they're going to hang and just air dry. We're not going to blow them dry or disturb the finish at all. We're going to gently spray them with WD-40 to pickle them and deprive them of any more oxygen. If you look at this process, think of it as an accelerated oxidation, and the rust and everything that can happen to steel over years, we're getting it over with in a matter of an hour and a half, or and just getting it over with and not letting it rust anymore. We're letting the corrosion happen in a controlled fashion, and if you look at it that way, it might help you understand the base metals reaction to the acid and how it needs to work to react. And when I say reactive metal, that's metal that has not previously been oxidized. There's reactive and non-reactive metals. So a non-reactive metal would be like this bar right here that's already got rust on it. That wouldn't take a bluing because the oxidation process has already happened. So you can't make it happen twice. So that might help you understand what you're doing here. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Okay, so we've taken our squares out of the acid, out of this material here, and dunked it lightly a couple of times on the way out to make sure any oil. There's a small amount of oil that comes to the top of the acid. I don't know how it gets there. I don't know where it comes from, but it's there. So you dunk it up and down to kind of wash that away. and then get them into hot tap water here. And even in the hot tap water, you can see up on top, I can see a prismatic film up on top of the water where oil has been released and comes up. But the acid removes a very small amount of oil and it will float to the top of water. That's why you want to submerge them completely. But I'm just in the process of getting my material filtered back into my bottle. I've cleaned my bottle out, got all the powdered metal out of there. The Melita coffee filter picks it up pretty well. So I'm just in the process of getting this back in there. And here we are at the home stretch. I'm back to bare hands. My acid's all put away. I've been soaking in water now for about a half hour in hot tap water. And when the oil comes out, the acid needs to go away. You don't want to contaminate your acid. So make sure your acid's all put away. And when you're ready to pull them out and pickle them, or do it in a completely remote location. But you get a heavy batch of oil in your solution and you're done. You're ruined. Okay, so you just pull them out. And you can do all this barehanded now. You know, give them a little dunk. You can see that our water's kind of changed colors. It's gotten kind of brownish looking. And here's your finish that you've gotten. All right. And we're just going to hose these down with WD. I've got this cup. This is my oiling cup with WD. And you're stopping the oxidation process. We're done. And just a nice heavy oiling. And then I just let them hang inside another bucket here. And then cover it up with cardboard overnight. And that's the end of this. Your water here can be discarded. Work safely. This stuff's kind of nasty. Alrighty, thanks for watching. So that's my week in a mixed bag. Grinder, I'm only teasing. I know a little bit about grinding, just enough to be dangerous. If you've got any constructive comments, I'm all ears. I'd love to hear some more about grinding. I'm always up for tips and things to make my grinding better. You saw my job site, conveyor, little field welding, a little bit of spray booth work. You saw the wall of fame over on my trailer. We went through some gun blue. We did some squares and showed you the progress on those. And that's my week. I want you guys to have a good weekend. And do not forget Mother's Day. That's Sunday. She's the woman that brought you into this world. You know what? She can take you back out. All right. Thanks for watching. See you. Bye.